Welcome to the Cup of Joe Show, where we explore the journey of recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. One story, one conversation, and one step at a time. I'm your host, Joe, creating a safe space for honest discussions about the challenges and triumphs of addiction and alcoholism. In each episode, we'll hear inspiring stories and uncover tools that make healing possible. Sobriety is not a one-size-fits-all journey, and you don't have to face it alone. Recovery is possible, and it's worth it. Thank you for joining the Cup of Joe Show. Now let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cup of Joe Show. I'm your host, of course, Joe. And before we get started, I just want you to know if you're out there and you're struggling right now, please know you're not alone. Don't suffer in silence. I'm really excited about today's guest. It's Kelly O. She's been sober since October 8th, 2018. She's a mom of two, a runner, a student, and a woman who's built a life rooted in recovery, service, and growth. After years of alcohol and drug use, including a heavy run with cocaine, Kelly reached at a point where alcohol became the final blow. But through recovery, daily action, and a willingness to grow, she's transformed her life from multiple failed attempts at college to now finishing her degree while giving back through service in the recovery community. I'm really looking forward to learning her story. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get into it. Hey, Kelly, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing good. Thank you so much for your willingness to come on and share your story.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what was it like growing up, Kelly?
So I was born on an Air Force base. So my parents were in the military. My dad was in the Air Force. So pretty much from the time I was born until I hit third grade, I lived in a lot of really cool areas. So I was born in South Carolina. We lived in Panama and South America for a while, which when I was there, I actually learned how to speak Spanish. And we had a maid who she slept in my room and she would teach me Spanish at night. It was really, really neat. And then we moved from there to Cape Coral, Florida. So my dad got out of the military and then we had moved, my grandparents were in Florida. And then from there, my dad got a job with Delta, which is based out of Atlanta, which brought us to Peachtree City, Georgia. And Peachtree City is known as the Bubble. And there is a lot of reasons for that. One primarily is because they have more golf cart paths to drive golf carts around than they do cars. There's more miles of paths than there are street miles. So it's pretty interesting. And when I moved there, I moved in third grade. And the school that I landed at was a great school. We were in one of the best school districts. But with that, it was kind of the kids who had already grown up together. I was just kind of placed there. And I came from so many different schools at that point that it was just a little tough in the beginning. But eventually I made some friends and transitioned into, living a really amazing life. I had two wonderful parents. They're still married today. I have two brothers. I have an older brother who's 5 years older than me. And then I have another one who's a year older than me. The one who's a year older than me was very straight edge, didn't really get in trouble. He hunted, fished, did all the things we're supposed to do. And then me and my older brother were the more defiant ones, if you will. But it took me some time to catch on to some of the things he was doing. But so for the most part, my childhood was very rooted in love and patience. And, my dad was a military dad. So anytime I got in trouble, it was like some sort of crazy thing I had to do. I remember when I was a teenager, I snuck out one night and he made me cut the grass with scissors, like actual scissors. And we lived on a little over an acre. It's a lot of grass. I was in there for a while. And one night I got caught again and I had to rake the leaves in the rain Um, we used to have to to put our nose on the wall when we'd get in trouble, and you wouldn't put your feet to the wall. You couldn't touch the wall, but you had to put your nose to the wall. So very structured, where I wasn't, beat or anything. It was just kind of military style punishment that I grew up with.
I was gonna say it's like very creative punishment. It's like,
I did
yeah,
not think it at the time.
I
I
can
was
imagine.
literally like, what am I doing this for?
I can imagine. I've actually been to Peachtree City, and it's a really cool place. I had to say that when you mentioned the golf cart, it's like amazing that it really is all golf cart paths. It's really a cool place to be, really different and unique. So, what was your relationship with alcohol and drugs? Was there anything in your family uh, that you remember?
Yes. So I come from a long line of drug addicts and alcoholics. Um, but pretty much none of them had gotten help for it. A lot of them, I have an aunt who died. She was a drug addict. She died from this disease. I had a uncle who committed suicide. He died from this disease. He struggled with a lot of things. And when I was younger, we were allowed to drink. I'm Irish Catholic, and so you drink. That's that you celebrate. You drink when you're sad. You drink when it's Tuesday. You drink, and it really wasn't. Didn't seem like a problem when I was a kid, but it really kind of started with like the St. Ides, the little flavored malt liquors. And then I remember I drank one of my dad's beers and put water in it. And, it was little stuff like that. But then by the time I was in my teens, I was allowed to drink liquor and they knew I was doing it. But I did come home one time when I was 17, and I was smoking weed, and I came home high, and I had been driving. And my dad told me that day, he said, you cannot recreationally use anything. You always have to take it to the extent. And I think it was about 3:30 that day. And I mean, he was really, really upset with me, and he took my keys and forced me to sit downstairs with him. And I had an uncle in town that was a police officer, and they were like putting flashlights in my eyes. And I think he knew at that point that I was doing a little bit more than I should have been.
Now, was that the first time you felt the effects of a drug or alcohol, or do you remember that time?
So I remember when I was 16, I went to a party, and they had one of those. I don't know if you may remember. It's kind of like a bucket with these white handles on the side, and you throw fruit in it, and golden grain and juice, and you just drink cups of it and eat the fruit. And I didn't know the potency of the golden grain at the time, but I do remember, from what I could remember, how fun it was. And I remember that, I wasn't awkward or anything. I was always had friends, but I just remember when I did that, and I remember I smoked weed around that time, that brought all my friends to me. My friend group opened way up at that point. And that's really, those were the effects, was the weed and the alcohol for me.
What do you remember? And I know you said you had a lot of friends. When you said it opened up more friends, do you remember how you were feeling? Was it? You said you felt a little awkward as you were younger, but did that carry on when you got older, or no?
No, I think the awkwardness was just kind of, I was a new kid from a different town, and
Okay.
I never, like, our families didn't know each other, and a lot of the other people were kind of, like close knitted.
Yeah.
And so, but for me, that the everyday smoking weed picked up at that time. And so it was just kind of a casual thing to do. I worked in a restaurant, and my friend group became older. I had a lot of
Mm.
older friends, and but I remember, I just remember being carefree, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I told you I would do that one, at least once. I told Kelly, I said, I will mute myself and forget. And I did. So how did it progress from there?
Um, so I started working when I was 14. So I had money, and the money kind of really wasn't an issue. Um, and then of course I dated guys who were doing the same thing, and it just became a thing. It's what we did. Peachtree City, we would drive golf carts around. We would drive back in the woods, and we would have we would sit on a tree stump and like smoke pot and drink. And I really wasn't a big drinker at the time because I always did go full throttle with it and throw up and all the things that can happen. But yeah, we would do that. And then that progressed. So as I got older, I started doing ecstasy. And then when I was a senior in high school, I had experienced cocaine. And by then, I was working so much and going to school. And I remember my senior year, I had 3 different jobs. And I don't think it was quite like I was wanting to always go. I just think that became the next party drug. And I started dating a guy who sold it, and it was free. And I thought he was like the coolest person ever. And I really thought I was going to marry him and we were going to live like that movie Blow, like Penelope Cruz. And I thought I was going to have this amazing life with him. It's funny to look back.
Well, it's funny. I had cocaine was really my drug of choice too, and I had a friend who his brother was a big drug dealer on Staten Island, and we used to get it for free, and that's how it kind of rolled. Now I wasn't going to marry him; it wasn't going to be a blow situation. But I think the free part was like, it was very helpful in getting me to do the more and more part.
Absolutely.
I didn't get the financial consequences with it. So,
and for me with cocaine, I mean, literally, I think at the time I was probably 115 pounds. And just for reference, I'm 5'3" and I'm 125 right now. So I was probably 115 pounds. And I would do such massive amounts of coke. There was never enough. And my boyfriend would go to sleep and I would still do it all night long. Just such to a point, it was like, I think that's really when there was, a thousand's never enough for me. That was when it started for me.
I always said that cocaine helped me manage my alcoholism.
I agree 100%. Oh man, I know that.
Mm-hmm. So, did you experience any consequences, at this time?
So at this time, I had gotten arrested for the first time when I was 18. I had just graduated high school, and it was on 420. I got arrested on 420. And that was no like correlation to how it happened. But I had a bunch of drugs in the car. The person who was in my car had a bunch of drugs, and I got arrested on a felony trafficking charge. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't trafficking. It was intent to distribute. It was a felony. And I mean, honestly, I didn't even know what was happening when they arrested me. I had a little bit in my purse, so I thought that's what I was going to jail for. And then I had a bond hearing and found out it was for a lot more. And was very confused. But at that point, I remember my parents really came through. Like they came in clutch at that point. They brought in a really good attorney and essentially got me off those charges. It took 2 years. And I think I stopped doing everything for about a month. And then I thought that everything would end up being fine. So I tried to enroll in college so that I wouldn't get the charges and I would look like I was this great person. But I went to school for like 3 weeks, and 3 college weeks is like a total of 5 days. And then I just quit going. And it's funny, that's on my college transcript today at the school I'm at. And it brings my GPA down because it's all zeros. But so back to the consequences. I actually ended up getting pregnant with that amazing drug dealer that I was with. And when I was 19, I had my son, and he was born with a congenital heart defect, had to have some open heart surgeries, and ultimately ended up passing away when he was 5 months old. And at that point in my life, there was no correlation to the drugs, to the outside world, but I lived with that for a very long time, honestly, until 2018. That has sat with me because I did have him. I brought him home. I celebrated a Thanksgiving and a Christmas with him. I mean, there was a lot of things that occurred, but ultimately that was a consequence, I believe, of my actions.
Can I ask what his name was?
His name was Aiden Tyler Liu, and his initials were ATL because I was just so cool.
Yeah, that is kind of cool, though.
Well, then I went to Chicago for a baby shower, and I had him in Chicago, so he wasn't even born in Atlanta. But turned out to, honestly, when I go down my story some more, it turned out to be something that has really, really created a lot of growth in me. There's a lot of women out there who have had situations like this who just keep it silent. They don't talk about it. And it's tough. It's very tough.
Well, no, thank you for your willingness to share that. I can only imagine, carrying that for us, like you said, until 2018, and that's a long time. And I can imagine that there was a lot of self-destruction along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. After he passed away, there was this disconnect in me. So I kind of felt like anything that I would ever fall in love with or try to create, or a relationship, or even the relationships that I already had with my family, I just felt like, there was just this fear that I was going to let my wall down and get hurt again. And so my alcoholism picked up, after he passed away around age 20. I discovered I actually stopped doing cocaine at 21 and was clean. I said, that is destroying my life. I'm just going to drink. And so, man, that I started out, it was like Jägermeister with red wine at the bar on a Tuesday. I mean, it was such an amazing combination, like wine stains on my teeth and Jaeger smell. Oh gosh, it was so brutal. But again, it was that cure-all numbing that I needed.
It's interesting. Jaeger was like my big, especially towards the end, like Jaeger. It was what I drank. But I thought about it. I was remember one of my tours of duty, my second tour of duty, I guess, in rehab. We were talking about it, and it's like it literally put that same feeling in the back of my throat that I got from using cocaine. And Absolutely. It was a weird thing. And I think that was it was a weird connection. I know it's for people who've never done that kind of, it's like, sounds absolutely insane, but for like, when you said Jaeger, I'm like, oh my God, she did Jaeger too. And I'm like,
I did it so much that I had this like 10-foot blow up Jaeger bottle, and my dishes were green, like my dishes to serve on in cups. And I had Jägermeister at the top of my apartment cabinets, every empty bottle, all sizes. It was what I decorated my entire apartment in. It was So if you came over, that's what you were drinking.
I get it. I really get that. I really do. So was there a time during this that did anyone say, "Hey, you're kind of getting out of control," or did anyone?
So my dad, I remember he came over to my apartment one time, and they didn't really come over a lot. I more went to their place, um, but he was always the one to say, "You need to chill out. You need to slow down." And my mom is the sweetest woman on earth. She is. Um, she would kill me. I hope she doesn't hear this podcast. So she smoked pot one time in her entire life. And that is pretty much it. She has one strawberry daiquiri and can't feel her toes. We are not the same at all. She is just the most nurturing, loving. You could do anything. She's going to love you. And so my dad, the cutting the grass with the scissors, that's like who I am to my core. And so when he told me I had a drinking problem, he was like holding a beer in his hand, telling me this. So I'm like, well, we both have the same problem and you're extremely successful, so I'll be fine. I didn't think anything was too wrong at the time. And I thought, honestly, that if you had been through what I had been through, you would do the exact same thing that I was doing.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, was there ever a time that you tried to stop but you couldn't? Like, do you remember the first time you tried to stop? Maybe.
So I did. I checked myself. Like everything was just not working out how I wanted it to work out. I had a car note due. At the time, I had a red Mustang, and I remember I had a car note due, and I was living with this amazing drug dealer boyfriend, and he wouldn't help me pay my car note, and my mom wouldn't help me because I was living with the boyfriend, and so like to cop out of it, I just like I went to check myself into this detox like the next day, and they said that I didn't need a detox. And so I remember I went home and I got some Xanax and I went back there with the Xanax in my system. And then they had to take me. And it was a 2-day process. But I did go. And then when I got there, as any detox situation of a state funded detox, you get there and you're like, what the hell have I just done? And so I was like 48 hours in trying to escape this place. And, I'm stuck in there on a hold for 72 hours or whatever it is. So that was when I was 21. And that was kind of my first time. And my dad had a friend in AA that he kept trying to kind of push on me. And, I did go to one meeting and I went and they were all old. And I was like, no, man, this ain't for me. I don't have like the problem they have. They're all really happy. So, and I'm okay. And so yeah, I went to my first AA meeting. I think I went to the first one when I was 18, but I don't remember that one much. But at that one when I was 20 or 21, I remember it. Lady gave me a piece of hard candy. And I just remember them being friendly. And they brought me all into this back room. And was like, I thought they were trying to recruit me for like a cult. And really they were just this kind and caring group of women trying to love me. But I just wasn't ready at the time.
So then, so you're 21 and progressing, obviously, starting to have consequences. So where did it go from there?
So like any good alcoholic, I found like another victim, and I married him, and he was like my saving grace. He had a really good job. And I had gotten pregnant with my daughter, who is now 19. And I just, like I said, the cocaine use had halted. I completely stopped using cocaine. And then I got pregnant and I had my daughter. And so my drinking curved more so to to kind of like a holiday type drinking. When she was like 1, I was pretty okay, but after that, it was more. I don't know if I would qualify it as binge drinking, but it wasn't daily drinking for me. The cocaine use was daily for me for a very long time. And so, like I said, the drinking didn't seem like that big of a deal. But when I did drink, it generally resulted in something I had to apologize for. And I always refer to it as, you wake up and you walk downstairs and there's like this cold chill in the room. And like, what did I do or say last night? That began happening to me much more regularly. And my ex-husband, we drank together, but I always took it next level. And there was never enough. There was never enough. And then I had my second daughter, and we would do family events and things like that. And I felt honestly, I was managing very well. I don't think I was this hardcore alcoholic that I later became. And asking them, they probably have a different story or perspective. But my honest opinion, I worked. I held a good job. I attempted school on multiple occasions, but would generally have a couple nights where I'd get too drunk to take a test, and then I'd be like, forget it, I'm just going to quit. I've gone to school to be a paralegal. I've gone for an HR certification. I've gone for patient care technician, quite a few things. But yeah, so it progressed through that time frame to a point where I would go to AA, and I got a book, and I asked a woman to sponsor me. And then I remember my very first sponsor, I said, okay, well, I'm just going to keep the pint underneath the kitchen sink. So like, in case I want it, I know it's there, because if like I have none, I stress out more. And if I have a pint under my sink, I think I'll be fine. And that lady was like, girl, you need to get rid of everything in your house. And I was like, you're way too dramatic for me. I need someone who's not as dramatic. And gosh, looking back, I have to laugh at that. But I would go into those rooms at least once every probably 8 weeks in tears, just not understanding what was happening to me. I was a very strong person, I thought. And so for me, I thought willpower was really what, how people don't drink. And, what I've learned today, it's has nothing to do with willpower, but the other piece of me too is I would have the consequences, but they were far and few between compared to the fun times. And when I pick up and drink again, it was always looking back at the fun time. So when I think about picking up a drink, I'm like, oh, that 4th of July party was so much fun. I don't think about the end of the night. I think about the beginning of the night when we're cooking out and having burgers. I don't think about the end of the night where my family wants nothing to do with me. And so, for a lot of reasons, I kept going to the rooms, getting out, going to the rooms, getting out. I would really, really, really want it, but I just wasn't willing to do the work.
Yeah. So there was something there that you, like you said, you wanted, but you weren't ready for it, So, and this might be, I don't know if this is a weird question or not, but like, what was the lowest point of your addiction,
So yeah, I eventually, so in 2014, my ex-husband had like the 3rd affair on me. And it was so rough on me because I still had my son's stuff. And, when I met him, I gave up the cocaine lifestyle. So when he had an affair on me, I was like, how dare you? I was this amazing, fun person. We met. Now I became lame. And I gave you 2 children and you go and do this on me. So self-centered, right? I couldn't even look at my part in any of it, which was, I definitely played a role in our divorce. But anyway, so we divorced, and in the process of the divorce, so I had controlled the divorce. I decided I wanted the divorce. I filed. He didn't want to. And then eventually, after I think it was a month, he found out the girl he had an affair on me was having a baby. So it kind of pushed our divorce up a little, if you will. He finally signed the papers. But at that point, I mean, she had the baby not very long after that. So she was already pregnant. And man, when I found that out, that was my ammunition. Like now I could drink how I really wanted to drink. I had all the reasons. My kid died. I gave up this great fun life. I didn't have the best career at the time because I was the second income. You're the one who kind of stays with the kids and stuff, and he gets a good job and gets successful, and I'm just at home, and I had gained a lot of weight at this point, a lot of weight, and man, I was just so broken. But I remember drinking, 140-degree vodka out of my trunk. Like it had gotten to a point where I was like having to hide my alcohol from my children. I was having to hide it from my family. Every event we went to, I had to bring extra because they were going to take whatever I was drinking. And one night I had drank, I overdrank regularly, but one night I got into a big fight with my parents. I eventually, I couldn't even maintain my household. I owned a home, but I got to a point where I couldn't stay in it because they wouldn't let me stay there with my kids. It was about a 2-year time frame. But one night we got into a fight, and I remember, the drunk packing of the suitcase. I had been to detox a couple times at this point, to the hospital, and then they detox me, send me somewhere a couple days, send me home. I tried to go to AA, and anyways, this one night I threw all my stuff in a suitcase, and I said, it's fine, I'm leaving. And my parents lived down a 2.5-mile long dirt road that doesn't have another home or light on the entire road. And this was like 8:30 at night, and I'm like, I'm leaving. And I grabbed this suitcase, and I'm pulling it down the road, and the handle on it breaks. And that handle breaks, and I remember that it fell down, and I sat on it. And when I sat on it, the top fell in. And I just remember screaming out and crying that night, like, God, please help me. I cannot do this anymore. And my mom eventually came up the road and picked me up and took me to a detox. But I just remember my first sponsor, her name was Meredith. She told me, because I had mentioned, we go back to the fun time of drinking. That is a memory I have held on to. And that was my broken moment. That was the moment that I knew that alcohol just had its grip on me, and I could not figure out a way how to do it on my own. I just couldn't.
So this, that's like so powerful to think about. Like, I think we all have to have a moment like that, to refer to, and I heard somebody say it. I thought, my best day sober is not as bad as my worst day drinking, or but really, I think it's like my best day sober is not as bad as my last day drinking. That's
oh yeah, man, that was rough.
So what did you do to change from that point on?
So I went into the hospital, and I remember my mother just dropped me off at the front door with the suitcase. I'm not kidding you. Like I said, I'm 5'3". This was the largest suitcase you could have. So the handle's broke at this point. I'm dragging it by the top of it. There's like 3 pieces of clothing in it. There's nothing in it. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. Honestly, I just remember walking in and the girl at the front desk, she said, "Are you feeling chest pains?" And I was crying. I said, "It's a broken heart." I mean, it was just so dramatic. And they sat me down and, I went in and it, I still left there and I drank after that. I did drink after that. And the next time I drank, I ended up actually, and I was telling someone the story the other day and she couldn't believe it. But the next time I drank, I had gone into the hospital and I was diagnosed with alcoholic ketoacidosis, and they had to put me on dialysis. So I knew like it was progressing so quickly. And then it was one more time after that. And I went in and I just remember, during all of this, I had gotten a DUI. I was on probation. I was in and out of jail for probation violations. Like I was in the jail and these people are thinking I'm some hardened criminal and I literally just can't pass an alcohol test. I wasn't a hardcore criminal. And so my jail stint, I was serving a weekend because I was really good at asking the judge, like telling him how productive of a human I was and I needed Monday through Friday to work. And he would let me to go to jail on the weekends. And I went for 6 months, weekend jail. I was on the last weekend to serve and I had about 45 days sober. And I went and told them I only had an hour to serve. They didn't need to worry about doing paperwork. It was no big deal. And they were like, "Ma'am, you're staying all weekend." And I was like, "No, I'm not." I called this morning and long story short, I left, I drank, I went back drunk. They rearrested me on a felony trespassing or passing the guard lines. And then that is when I went into to treatment. I had a court date and the judge was like, there's nothing that will stop you. I was sentenced to a year in jail for alcohol. And I just remember going and my mom told me that my kids wouldn't be able to come visit me. And it was my last court date and the judge was like, "Your mom's not even here today. Your mom used to come to all your court dates and she's not even here." And I asked him that day to go get help. I said, "I want help and I'll go to sober living." And that he let me do it. And man, I just remember I picked this sober living called Imagine Women's Recovery. And I picked it because it was cute. Like there was no other reason. It was kind of expensive. And so I was like, "Oh, this is the place." And I'm going to live in luxury. And you get there and I don't know if you've ever been to sober living, but you have to like do things that they tell you to do. But yeah, so I went to that court date and his name was Judge Thompson. And I still email him each year that I'm sober and I thank him so much. And he's got family who's in the program too. And he's created a new program. It's kind of like a drug court. They didn't have that back when I was going, but they have it now. And it's just such a cool thing because I have a relationship with him now.
So what was what were some of the challenges early on of getting sober and staying sober?
Oh man. So to be honest, when I first got there, because it was sober living versus jail, they dropped the sentence to 6 months sober living. So my game plan was to like do 6 months and get out and learn how to drink responsibly, without consequence. And I'm not kidding. I told him that when I got there. I said, "I only have to come for 6 months. It's not a big deal. Do you want me to prepay and just stay?" And they said, "No, you can pay month by month." And they did an intake on me and they had this chore board and my name was already on it. And I mean, I hadn't even unpacked yet. And I thought, what is that? And it was, you had to sweep and mop one week and do all these things. And so I shared a room in an apartment in Marietta, really beautiful apartment. And I shared, it was a 3-bedroom room with 5 girls, and none of them were my age. They were all children to me. And I just thought, oh my God, what the hell have I done? What has my life come to? And I remember it was when we got there, we had a sheet we had to sign. It was like our weekly sheet. You had to go into a meeting and everybody knew you were in this sober living because you'd have to like bring your sheet to the front. So you had like a little bit of shame right out the gate, little embarrassment, humility, if you will. And I had to get up at 8:00 and we did a morning meditation and prayer. I was not allowed to work full time, which was really tough for me because I was paying for it on my own. And I had to go to a meeting every single day. And in the beginning, I had to go to 2 a day. I had to go to 1 big book study each week, and it had to be the same one. And I had to go through the entire book. And then I had to go to 1 women's meeting each week. And I thought, hold on a minute. I'm paying you. Like, I don't need to do all this. This is not that serious. This is only for 6 months. And then I thought, okay, well, I only have 6 months of this. It will be fine. Like I got to that part. And then they told me I had to get a sponsor. And there was this girl in the meeting who shared exactly what was happening in her head. Her name was her name is Meredith. She sponsored me for my first 5 years. Yeah, 5 years. She relapsed. Maybe 4 years. Anyway, she relapsed a few years ago. But man, I've said it. There's a lot of people who have taken my hand and placed it in Jesus's hand, and she was the first one. I remember she told me everything I didn't want to hear. That everything was wrong with me, and I mean, what I struggled with in the beginning was really thinking 100% that I had an alcohol problem, because the judges who forced me here, not like y'all are so bad that the judge made me come hang out with you. Like it's a punishment, and that is how it was in my head, is that, AA was a punishment. And, what I know today is totally, totally different. AA is the biggest blessing I have in my life. So that, like, really grasping that I was actually 100% alcoholic was tough. And too, I'd been clean off of cocaine. So I thought, I stopped that, and then I didn't really read when I got here, and I still don't enjoy reading. And they give me a book and tell me I need to read this book. And I'm thinking, well, I don't read. And so can you just tell me what it says? And so then I'm like, oh, they have Cliff Notes, the 12 and 12. So it was like, read these pages and do this step work. So I just used the 12 and 12. I never read the big book in the beginning. I was like, yeah, I read it. It's great. And no, I had no idea. So it looks really big, but the guts is 164 pages. And once you start reading it, you're reading about yourself. So it's very easy. And so, yeah. And then doing the step work, we had a meeting each week in the recovery residence over your step work. And they'd be like, what step are you on? I'm like, I don't know. Until I got to 4, I had no idea. I was like, oh, I'm on 3. And it's so funny looking back. Because when I did get to 4 and 5, I mean, stuff in my life started changing.
So, yeah, I was just thinking, like, how did you concede to your innermost self that you were an alcoholic?
So when I had worked, as I mentioned, the steps, and I got into some step work, there was some ladies who would share, and it was just like our stories were so similar. And I thought, it's really crazy. We all have the same things happening. And then I have non AA friends who literally cannot grasp and understand how I could keep doing what I was doing. And when I would talk to them once I was in recovery, I could tell there was a separation. And I learned quickly that I don't process the way that other people process. I was self-centered to my core, to the extreme. And then my ego, like when I learned about ego, I thought, well, everybody can think okay about themselves, but no, I was driven by this. And then I learned that, my reaction to fear was to drink. So when I get afraid of something, and I'm not talking like afraid of the dark, I'm afraid of what you think of me. So if I drink, I won't even care about that. Or I'm afraid of not being the best at something. And I would drink at that, or, somebody would make me mad, and I'd be like, it's fine. I'm not even upset. But it was all so fear-based. And when I learned that that's my coping mechanism, it brought me back to my dad, who said, you cannot recreationally use drugs or alcohol. It is not in you.
Well, speaking of dad, and I guess how did you begin to rebuild trust with your family and friends even?
Yeah. So the step work I started, I was sentenced to 6 months at my sober living. I stayed for a year and a half. I ended up working there. The woman who I worked for, she hired me and put me in an apartment, and my kids could come and visit. And it took some time to build that trust back. But I still maintained three. Well, when I went home, I went to a lot more meetings. But everybody knew when I was drinking. I was mean. I was just irritable and discontent all the time. And when I got sober, the rebuilding of the trust, it was a slow process. I still have work to do with my oldest daughter. I did get sober, stayed sober, and at about 5 years, we got into quite an argument. We haven't talked in 2.5 years. She's since joined the military. She's in the Air Force now. That's one that's been tough, but I wasn't allowed to see my brother's kids, who I was very close with. And just through, honestly, handing my life over to God, I started to live better. I became willing to help people. I became willing to be the mom I was supposed to be the daughter I was supposed to be the employee. I was working with other women, which was a huge help because, it keeps me out of self. And my kids were split, going half to their dads. When I first came back, when I moved back, I got my own apartment to try to rebuild my life. And so it was a slow process, but on the days I had them, I was present for them. And, I've lost a couple family members since getting sober, and I was able to be sober for those moments and be there for my family. And just recently, it's funny because my dad's been sending me, I was baptized a couple weeks ago, and it was, this big video they did at church. Is beautiful. But I served the third grade girls at my church. Like literally, I just keep them alive. I'm not like this prophet that was sent to them. But I do spend some time with them. We do some Bible verses. And so I got baptized. I had these student leaders that are just amazing girls. And, I look back and I'm like, man, I just lost so much well, I gave away so much time. But anyways, my dad's been, I mean, he cried with this video. Um, and he's like sending it to his friends. He asked me to send him the link, and he's sharing it with my family and like my uncles and with social media, of course, it's easy to share stuff out. Um, but that's really where the trust comes in. I continue to work the program, and I am the treatment center committee chair for the Atlanta area intergroup. Um, and so I help people coming out of treatment need to find meetings, if they need meetings in treatment centers. And I think there's like the Atlanta area intergroup service is like 400 and something meetings. So it's a lot of networking. But that stuff, that's what keeps my family loving me. I have a really great relationship with my 16-year-old. I mean, she's a 16-year-old girl, so take that for what it is. But I've been able to rebuild my life and myself, to be able to be the mom that I feel like she deserves. I'm not perfect at it, and really have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But I do know that as long as I stay sober, I'm of service to her. And God uses me, man. And that's really the trust that I've built back, is just accepting the things I don't want to accept, and sometimes no response is a response. I don't have to respond to everything. So I get along with people a little bit more. And the taking that inventory and my step work, that really taught me a lot about myself and how I was to other people, and I really strive to not be that way that I used to be, across the board. I do it at work. I do it with my non-AA friends. I do it with my AA friends, just my neighbors, everyone.
And that's the cool thing is this design for living that we've been given is, we don't just do it in recovery, we do it in life, and it's a cool thing. What's one of your favorite recovery tools that you use?
So I'm big, like I said, I'm not a big reader. And it's so cliche, but the daily reflections for me, is really big. And there is this email that I receive. I think it's Daily Traditions or something they send me. And I don't know how I got connected to it, but this email that I'm sent breaks out the just for today. It breaks out the, like all the AA readings and the NA readings and the CA and all the A readings. And so I love being able to just pop in and connect on a spiritual level on a daily basis. So those little daily reflection meditation readings, those are my biggest tool in AA. I love those.
No, those are great, and it's a great daily reminder. And I read it in the morning, and it kind of helps set the tone, and that's the thing I've learned is I can set the tone. And the other thing I think is restart anytime. That's something I didn't know.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I didn't know. That's something we can reset anytime during the day, which is cool.
That's this guy always says, oh gosh, what does he say? It's essentially that concept. You can restart at any point.
A friend used to say, "You don't have to ride the garbage truck all the way to the dump."
Yes. It's so true, man. I'm just so grateful. In this program I learned, man, you can take this thing as far as you want to be as free as you want. And in every aspect of it. You could just read one little thing, you could read once a week, at any capacity. It's just so cool.
Yeah, it's just, what are you willing to do today to not take a drink?
Yep.
It's really what it comes down to. What's your spirituality like today?
Man, so it's funny. I went to a meeting when I first got sober at this Jay Christopher's little breakfast place, and this man said, this is when I was at this sober living. I just got there with the damn list on the wall. I was mad. And I had to go to this noon meeting. I didn't have money to eat breakfast, and it was at a breakfast place. And this guy, we left, and he said, just don't drink today. And I thought, if I could do that, I wouldn't be here right now. And he said, well, go pray about it. And I said, oh, that's just going to make it so much better. And I remember if I could find him, I would just be like, oh, why didn't you tell me? So for me, my spirituality, when I started to see things like what really happened is that so I got sober, but my life was still really hard. Hard things were happening. It was a lot of stuff happening, court, all that stuff. And I remember when, it was I had a car breakdown and no car, and I had to ask for rides, and I remember this powerlessness that I felt, and I thought, you know what, F it. Everyone's saying give it to God. You know what, take it. You want it, you can have it. And I remember being so kind of angry and resentful about it, but I was like, here. So I got a little fake plant as suggested by some random woman that I'm thinking is a wacko. I got a fake plant and put it at the door. And she said, when you come in the door, rub that plant, give it your problems. And I was like, what are you people talking about? And she said, get a fake one because you're going to kill a real one. And I remember she was so mean. And I was like, whatever, lady. So we're laughing, and my friend's like, let's do it. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing. I cannot believe I'm doing this. This is what my life has come to. But that is what taught me how to pray and how to give it to God and how to let go. Was I used a fake plant, and I put my problems, and I visually felt it coming out, and then that transformed really into prayer and meditation, some step 11 stuff. But my spirituality today is I 100% trust God with everything. I give it all to him. I hold on to it for a little while, if I'm being honest. But man, when it gets hard enough, I'm like, here, F it. Here you go. And he handles it. And some of the times it's not what I want. It doesn't go how I want, but it's just how it's supposed to be. And I know acceptance for that.
I love the fake plant. I just that's really cool.
I literally thought, what the hell has my life come to?
It's so genius. It is so genius.
Simple. Like, keep it simple.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who maybe is listening and is feeling hopeless right now?
Nothing comes easy, right? And I just remember, that I didn't want to live. I mean, there came a point where I was okay with not living. I didn't want to kill myself, but I was okay either way. But for anybody who's struggling, it takes a lot of guts to come into the program, and it is hard. It really is, but the reward that comes from it is I cannot put into words. I can look at myself in the mirror today and I absolutely love myself. I think I'm the coolest person around, but I'm only in the room by myself. I can just fade into the world. I don't have to be the boss anymore. I can be the lowest on the totem pole. I don't have to have the last word. I find peace in every moment in my life, and I find gratitude. I have so much to be grateful for. And the world has just opened up for me. And it is hard, but get a sponsor, work the steps. If you don't want to read the damn book, read the 12 and 12. Just get someone who you can connect with, and just don't stop trying. Whatever you do, don't stop trying. Keep trying.
That's a big deal. Is there anything you wanted to talk about that we haven't?
No, I think, we hit on everything. The another big piece is the ability to serve others. I never thought, like my big purpose in life was to be an alcoholic and to serve God. Like I had no idea this was the grand plan for my life. And had you asked me that 8 years ago, I would have said you're crazy as hell. But I am just here. And I love helping other people. I love watching the light come on in someone's eyes. There's a sober living near us. And so for anybody who just find someone you can connect with, go to the events. I do a bunco once a month. It's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes, but man, I love those bunco girls. They show up each month, and men come too. And it's people you would never put together, and they all show up, and I see them month after month. So just join forces, man. This thing's big.
Okay, you have to tell me, what is a bunco month?
Bunco is this dice game, right? So I played it with my non-AA friends, and I thought, we need to do this without the drinking. And so my non-AA friends came in to AA and helped me start this. And I've been now, I think, for a little over a year. We have a clubhouse, and it started out around 40 people. And once a month on Tuesday night, it's actually tomorrow night, at 6:30, we meet up, bring some food. And we set these tables up and you roll the dice, and it's just a game of chance and luck. And people from all fellowships come. And then if there's anybody new who's thinking of coming into AA, I invite them. And yeah, so it's just this dice game that we do at the clubhouse. It's very fun.
That's so cool. There you go. Fake plants and bunco. Who knew?
Who knew this would be my life?
Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for sharing your story and sharing some hope. I really appreciate it. I can't let you go, though, without doing our rapid fire questions. I know now that you're almost a college graduate, this should be real easy for you.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Are you ready?
I don't know.
You got this. You got it.
You got it.
All the faith in the world. What is your favorite recovery slogan?
Keep it simple.
What is your least favorite recovery slogan?
Just pray.
What do you think is your sobriety superpower?
Helping others.
If you could say one thing to your former self, what would it be?
It's going to be okay.
What song do you play to lift your spirits when you need a boost?
There's this song called My Jesus.
If you could grant yourself one wish to help with your recovery, what would it be?
Oh, gosh. To keep it exactly how it happened.
What step do you love the most?
12.
What step do you love the least?
1.
What is one of your favorite movies?
The Wedding Planner.
And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You're very lucky.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We've been waiting. I don't know. And also, FYI, on step 12, It's funny, but if you don't think about it much, but on step 12, it says having had a spiritual awakening as a result of all these steps, we practice these principles. So they didn't tell me at step 1 that I was going to have this big spiritual awakening. They literally tricked me into it. I had no idea that's what I was coming here for. Funny.
And it's guaranteed. It tells us if we do work these 12 steps, you will have a spiritual awakening. It's guaranteed.
Yes.
So pretty cool. Thank you so much, Kelly, for sharing your story. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. And for the rest of you out there, if this episode meant something to you, please share it with one person who needs hope today. A new episode of The Cup of Joe Show drops every Thursday at noon. You can listen anytime at thecupofjoeshow.net or on any of your favorite podcast apps, Podbean, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Just search for The Cup of Joe Show. Don't forget the "the." And if you're looking for daily encouragement in your recovery journey, subscribe to our friends at thedailyponderables.com, delivering inspiration straight to your mailbox every morning. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share because someone out there needs to hear this today. Have a good day, everybody.
It's just a laid-back vibe, baby.
We hope you enjoyed today's Experience, Strength, and Hope. We are so grateful you decided to join us. Please share this episode with someone who might need it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, no matter where you are in your recovery journey, you are not alone. Reach up and reach out to someone. Please do not suffer in silence. Until next time, let's take it 1 minute, 1 hour, and 1 day at a time. Thanks for listening to The Cup of Joe Show.